Warning, this video may contain content that may not be suitable for children or anyone else that is easily offended. Strong language, graphic content, nudity, bad jokes, and a possible idiot, aka myself, may be featured in the following clip. Viewer discretion is advised. Channel is not responsible for any damages that you receive watching this video. What's up, y'all? It's Zems, and welcome to What's the Moment in Your Life That You Can't Explain Supernatural or Not. This video is by Dr. Hollow, so you guys have to review Supernatural description box. Click on the link and watch the video in entirety, because I'm going to be pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. But on a good note, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I know I didn't really do anything for my 5,000 subscriber special, so I thought I'd give away something, because I knew Pokemon just came out, and a lot of people want to play it, and unfortunately, given certain circumstances, some people may or may not can't afford it. You know, their parents may be in a certain situation. So I'm going to be giving away one copy of the Pokemon, The Legend of Arceus. So make sure you guys head down to the description box and click on the link to go over and try to get you a dub. Hopefully, if you don't want Pokemon, then you can just take the $60 roll with it, go to Starbucks, Chipotle, but whatever you want to do, Raising Cane's, bro. Do it, spend it on your mom, get your nails done, hair done, whatever it is that you want to do. And you know, it is what it is. I'm probably going to end the giveaway around February 15th or maybe February 10th. But this go down in the description box and whatever I decide it should be there. But man, hit that subscribe button for your chance to win. But for now, let's get it. Let's go. The one moment I can't explain is the gas prices.
What is the one moment in your life that you cannot explain? Supernatural or not? Please like and subscribe to support us. I remember a few years ago, I woke up on a Saturday afternoon during the summer. I came upstairs, nobody was home, which seemed a little strange. I went into the backyard to see if my parents were doing yard work. I remember it being eerily cold for the summer. I didn't find my parents out there. I checked the garage to see if their vehicles were still home. They both were. Finding this very strange, I went out the front door, hoping to find them out there. The street was empty of people, which is very weird for a summer weekend. Usually, everyone is out, either playing with their kids, driving, doing yard work, walking, whatever. There was no one out. I walked down the block to the main street. There was no one there either. It was the weirdest thing. Eventually, I went back to my house. I sat at the kitchen table thinking, what the fuck? What happened to everyone? Then my mom walked out of the hallway, asked me what was up. I told her no one was here. She told me she was in her room, but I had looked there. Then she said my dad was in the yard, but I checked there. I went out again. It was warm and sunny. My dad was sitting in the yard drinking a beer. The birds were singing. The neighbors were out. It still creeps me out.
Bruh, what if he was in purgatory? Or what if he decided to like go on like the one of the little backdoor things? What if he hit a glitch and he's seeing the real reality of what he was actually seeing? So could I have been there was a glitch in the simulation and he was actually seeing that no one was there, and then they clicked back and they fixed it and they took him back to where he was? Or was he in purgatory like with some supernatural type stuff? Or was it all just a dream? I was thinking about, I don't know, let me know down in the comment section. I feel like that is creepy. If it's cold in the summer, your parents not home, but then again, he didn't check the room, but he checked outside and his dad wasn't there. But did his dad go inside the shed, you know, and for a minute he didn't see him and he went back inside and kind of just like missed each other, you know, like on some bad timing type stuff. Maybe he walked by and didn't hear him come in or something.
I traveled to the Soviet Union twice as a teenager. In the US, if you're under 18, a passport expires after 5 years.
Really?
Fast forward to my early 20s, and I needed to renew my passport to visit my sister in her study abroad program in London. I applied with plenty of time before the trip, made reservations, planned side trip to another friend in Paris, arranged time off work, etc. I wasn't worried, way pre 9/11, but I began to get anxious 2 weeks before the flight. Spent 2 hours on hold on the phone to check the status.
I feel that.
I can't remember the details of that call, but this gist of it was that I didn't feel like it would be mailed to me in time, so I decided to drive to Chicago.
Chicago? Shh, I ain't driving through Chicago, boy. Hell
Orders
no.
were being processed. I showed up at dawn, and the line already stretched down the block. It took hours to get inside, and the corridors and main room were packed thanks to a Disney-esque queuing system. I finally got to a window and explained my situation. I had tickets. My sister was expecting me. I had all original documents, photos, and tons of cash to do whatever it took to leave with a passport. Again, can't remember the specifics of the exchange, but I was sent to another office. The same wall of windows, tons of people, but we got to wait in chairs with a number like the DMV. Here's the part I can't explain. We were given a number upon entering.
Okay.
There was no sequence as to who got called next. We were all there for different reasons. I got called up. I'm sweating and approach my window and begin to explain my deal to the woman. She nods, says something non-committal, and opens a drawer next to her. I can see everything through the glass, and the drawer is empty except for my passport. She hands it to me, and I walk out past hundreds of people waiting for the same thing. It was truly one of the most unsettling things I've ever experienced.
I don't know if I missed it or I'm just dumb or what, but I don't know what part of it was supernatural. Was it the supernatural part that they didn't have an order for the numbers, they went in different things, or is just the fact that his passport was in the drawer with no one else's stuff in there besides his one passport? So I don't know. Do you have to retake the picture? I don't know what's going on, bro. I didn't see the scariness in that one, but then again, y'all know me. I sometimes like space out and probably didn't hear it, but I didn't hear anything creepy about that. Let me know down in the comment section what I missed, because most of you guys catch things that I don't, and I didn't see the creepy or supernatural part of that.
Psychic found my friend's cat once. She did it over the phone and with incredible detail. Her cat was lost and had been for 3 days. She decided to call a pet psychic. I told her it was a scam and to save her money, but she was desperate, so she called anyway. The lady on the phone asked if the cat was a boy, 3 years old, and gray. It was. She asked if there was a tall, yellow house near hers with tall grass in front of it. There was. She said the cat was in that house. He was. Here's the part that was especially spooky to me. She didn't charge her a dime.
Yo, that's crazy. Actually, when I was down at Venice Beach one time, there was a lady doing hand reads and stuff like that. And the dudes that did it, they were like, she was spot on and stuff like that. But then again, I was kind of like, she said a lot of stuff about heartbreak, but who doesn't get their heart broken? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like a given. I mean, of course, you're going to sit there like, oh, your heart's been broken recently. Yeah, it happens. That's like a part of life. But I don't know. I just never want to hear something like that or say like, oh, you're going to die in like 3 months or a tragic accident is going to happen. Like, I don't want to know any of that, because then I'm going to be thinking about it all the time and dwelling on it, and I'm gonna be miserable and depressed. So I'd rather not know at all. But I think it's pretty cool that some people have the gift to do these things.
Back in the 70s, I drove to work and parked the car outside the HQ building. I was in the Army. Got out of my car and started walking to the door. Mr. James Farty, Chief Warrant Officer, got out of his car, and when I got close, I saluted. He wasn't really into the official Army stuff and told me not to salute, so I dropped my hand. He told me to go on in, and he'd be in a while. I went into the office. When I got into the office, the captain and senior sergeant were both already there, which was unusual. They both usually got there about a half hour later. The captain came over to my desk and asked me to sit down. He said, Mr. Farty was involved in a head-on car accident last evening and died at the scene. When I countered that couldn't be right because I had just seen him outside in the parking lot, the senior sergeant told me that he and the captain had just come from the hospital where they had seen the body.
Yo, that's crazy, because I've seen some people that have said that, like they received a phone call from the person that had died and they didn't realize that they had died, or they seen somebody right after they died. But to go off of that, when they said not to salute, I still do it, because sometimes they're like, oh, you don't have to salute me. And then next thing you know, you don't do it and they're having a bad day and they try to like rip into you. And it's just like, I'd rather just keep doing it to be safer. Sorry.
I was walking the dog one morning in the countryside in southwest England. Walking down the road past an open gateway, and my dog starts pulling towards it. I assumed there was a rabbit or something there. I looked up and saw what I would guess was a big black panther, not the civil rights type, staring back at me. I froze for a few seconds, unable to move, feeling like my heart had fallen out of my ass. After what seemed like an age but was probably only a few seconds, I sidestepped past the gateway and walked very quickly down the road without daring to look behind me. Have I thought harder? My girlfriend at the time lived about a minute in the opposite direction, so I could have gone and got her camera, but self-preservation got in the way of thinking. This was in 1999, so no camera, phones, etc. That was what got me into keeping what is classed in the UK as dangerous wild animals, although I kept venomous snakes rather than big cats due to my council refusing a cat license due to space requirements. They later did everything they could to bankrupt my business that was legally selling them, and they succeeded. I never actually told anyone because I assumed they would just think I was mental.
I still didn't see the supernatural in that.
I've been pondering this one all weekend. I've had the same cell phone for over 3 years now. It's a simple LG flip phone with the back panel LCD window. During work one day, not long after I got the phone, I dropped it getting out of my truck. It lay there on the ground all day, and I actually backed up and ran over it before seeing it laying there in the dirt and retrieving it.
Yeah.
Since that fateful day, the plastic cover over the back panel LCD has had a big crack running halfway up it. Sometime in the last 2 weeks, the crack disappeared. I know it is the same phone. There are marks from things like opening beers and writing my own number in Sharpie that are unmistakable. I just moved out of state about 2 weeks ago, and did fly on a commercial airline, went through TSA, etc. Naturally, My first thought was, well, things like that don't just happen. Somebody replaced it. But why? Being the paranoid geek that I am, I immediately disassembled the phone, looking for signs of tampering/bugging, but I noticed as I went that even a gentle touch from a screwdriver was enough to scratch off the black finish on the screws, and all the glued/clipped pieces showed no signs of having been removed, including the once cracked cover piece.
Damn, iPhone need to take freaking notes, because you drop that thing, that shit gonna shatter, boy. That's everything gonna break in front. 3 camera in the back.
I was driving back from a city called Novara, Italy, to my house, about a 30-minute drive. I took the roads that cut through the countryside to avoid all those awful nice cameras that take 3,000 pictures of you if you exceed the speed limit by 1 mile per hour. It was late at night, like 1 a.m. I went to see some friends, but I did not drink or anything, so I was completely sober. The streets I was driving through are really narrow, so as I see another car coming from the opposite direction, I slowed down and started to drive to the side, as I knew it was going to be a tight squeeze. This was right before a small intersection. Meanwhile, I see some lights coming behind me. Big lights. In fact, at first I thought, what the shit is a truck doing here? IT can barely fit in the street. Then another thought crossed my mind. Holy shit, this guy is hauling ass. He's gonna hit me hard. He's not going to be able to stop. But then, as I was almost ready to drive into a rice field to avoid getting smashed, the lights became so intense that blinded me, so I slammed on the brakes. The other car in front of me also slammed on the brakes. Then the light suddenly moved from behind me to on top of me. It wasn't as intense as a couple of seconds before, but it was still strong, and I could not see what was pointing those lights.
Aliens.
Then the light moved and lit the intersection in front of me, then me again, and then the car in front of me. I did not know what to do or think. I was shocked. This lasted about 15 seconds, then the light got really intense again and then disappeared.
UFO.
I did not get out of the car to speak to the other person since I figured it was not really safe to talk to a complete stranger at night in the middle of the countryside.
We come in peace.
But to this day I still regret it, because I will never know if the other guy saw the same thing or just slammed on the brakes because I suddenly did. As I drove right next to him, remember, tight squeeze, I saw him, and he looked like he was scared shitless. Oh, from my understanding, it could not have been an heli or an airplane, based on the way the thing was moving. Even though I was pretty close, probably 15-20 miles, from Malpensa International. The way the lights moved, it seemed almost like someone was checking on what those 2 cars were doing. And yes, if you ask me, it totally was an alien.
I told you guys, I'm Detective Supernatural Ghostbuster Zem. Man, he said he didn't know if the other driver seen the same thing, bro. You drove past him, y'all both look like this. Bro, y'all both seen the same thing 100%. I would have pulled over like, hey, bro, let me get your Snapchat or number, pause, and we can talk about this later on about what we just saw, because I know for a fact I'm not about to go to my therapist and be like, yo, I seen a UFO. She's gonna be like, oh, yeah. We got another crazy one in the office. But yeah, tell me more about it. Like, nah, bro. I know you seen it. I seen it, bro. Let's stop playing these games. Aliens.
My best friend and I were playing with an Ouija board when we were 12 or 13.
Red flag.
We were asking silly preteen girl questions and were getting fairly generic answers back. But then we started getting the foulest language from it, and in the end, the only light bulb in the room shattered, leaving us in pitch darkness. The logical side of me knows Ouija boards are a scam, and that there is probably some perfectly logical, electrical explanation for the light bulb thing, but I still get shivers whenever I remember, even though it's been a good 10 years.
See, that's how you get clapped, man.
I have met 2 legitimate psychics in my life. One was a local woman I met through a friend who, upon my first time meeting her, not only predicted the weeks later death of my grandfather, but the house I was soon going to move into that I didn't even know about yet. Long story short, I went to visit my family when my grandfather died, ended up moving in with my family there, in said house. I'm not a big believer in family members sticking around indefinitely to randomly turn on lights or knock things over in order to say hi.
Facts.
I think a lot of that is something people want to believe, so they do. I try to question and rationalize everything of that nature. For example, my mother has a clock that was her father's that chimes every hour on the hour.
I hate those
she
clocks.
That when it chimes, it's him saying hi. I know she knows better, but you hold on to what you can, I guess. Anywho, this is weak compared to some of the other stories, but while I'm there for a funeral, a large group of us go out to eat. Randomly during dinner, my glass moves 2 to 3 feet in a straight line across the table, directly in front of me. It was as if someone was moving with a magnet. Steady movement, no stuttering. The table was solid and not wobbling. I do know that a concave glass with condensation can build up and kind of float on an air bubble underneath, but they generally move irregularly, and I've never heard of one moving this far. My scientific brain tried everything to disprove this, but in addition to some other things that happened on that visit, I am very confident my grandfather hung around and decided to fuck with me. while at dinner with 15 other people.
Bro, he's too calm for me, bro. He's just sitting here going through every Big Bang Theory, Bill Nye's a science guy, biology, chemistry, bro, ethics. Like, bro, nobody care about any of that, bro. Get your ass up off the table and get up out of there, bro. You just watch the glass move forward and you just about to sit here and try to rationalize. There's nothing to rationalize, bro. If you know there's no air bubble and you know it didn't move like the irregular way that you were talking about, bro, why are you still sitting there?
I also remember when I was about 12, I was riding the centrifuge at a county fair. Back before they strapped you down. When it really gets going, the seats naturally roll up towards the ceiling. When they do, at about 3 o'clock on my right, behind/under a seat, I see what appears to be someone in burlap sack kicking their legs frantically. Haunts me to this day. Plenty of other people on the ride with me, but if anyone else saw it, they didn't say anything, and I was too chicken shit.
Bruh, somebody was getting kidnapped and nobody said nothing.
24-hour restaurant. One of my friends proceeded to tell me his creepy experience at a local forest. In the middle of his story, a butter knife lifts up from the table, right in front of my eyes, hits me on the arm, and falls far in the corner of the restaurant with a huge bang. It was a huge round table. There were only 4 of us. 2 of the friends were way too far to reach the knife. The friend telling me the story had both his hands on top of the table. 100% sure, the table didn't move. The knife was fully on the table before it lifted up. And I saw it lift up on its own and hit me, and so did my friends. We just sat there in silence, terrified for about 3 minutes, just looking at each other. It still scares me. I know my friends didn't prank me. It wasn't funny to any of us.
That restaurant getting a 1 star.
I was on holiday one summer in Ireland with extended family. I was about 10, renting a house close to a massive lake in the west of the country. We went fishing one day in some small boats on the lake, and on returning, my brother mentioned he had lost his wallet. We all looked around, searched frantically, without luck.
That's one of my biggest fears, to be honest with you, to lose my wallet. Like, that's a big fear that I have. Like, I know you can just call and cancel your cards, but I just not being able to get that stuff back is just like scary to me for some reason. Like my identity or whatever I got in my car, you know what I'm saying? Just knowing it's going to be in somebody else's possession. It's kind of like my social security number too. It's just like, I'm just terrified of something like that happening to me.
The Irish housekeeper where we were staying mentioned we should pray to St. Anthony, which I think my mom did whilst we were enjoying a barbecue later that evening by the waterside. We thought no more about it, until later that evening when we were still sitting outside after our dinner. Suddenly my uncle, a massive hedonist/atheist, got up unprompted and in a trance-like state walked down to the lake, strode waist deep into the water about 20 feet out, bent down deep into the water and plucked out, without hesitation, my brother's wallet, brandishing it in the air. About 12 of us saw him do this, and to this day, neither he nor we can figure out how he knew where to go and why he did it. I have never experienced anything which I could not think of a plausible explanation for. I guess I'm a boring person.
Don't say that.
I have a number of friends who seem to experience supernatural occurrences on a semi-annual basis.
Get rid of them.
Once or twice I've actually been present at a time during which one of these events was widely accepted to have occurred, and I was the only person who not only failed to see anything relating to the events, but also didn't detect anything even the slightest bit out of the ordinary. I highly suspect that the majority of individuals have a few screws loose at times, though I don't judge anyone for it. Life would be less interesting if everyone remained entirely rational when faced with something they were unable to understand.
Facts.
When I was a small child, things were quite different. I talked to imaginary friends constantly, had terrifying daydreams of the world coming to an end, believed a painting of Jesus hanging in my room would begin to cry tears of blood if I did something wrong, thanks to an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and occasionally saw human-like shapes moving about in the dark as I was on the verge of losing consciousness. Then I grew up, and my brain stopped filling in all of the gaps in my understanding with terrifying visions. I believe the majority of small children hallucinate to some degree,
I agree.
either willfully or otherwise, due to not knowing any better and possessing an incomplete knowledge of the simpler concepts that set the world around them in motion. I became incredibly skeptical of everything in order to counteract my overactive imagination as a child, and have remained startlingly rational and logical ever since.
Yeah, but you have to also understand too, some of these kids be saying that they have already been born before and they were a dad or they were a famous singer or actor or they were murdered in their past life, and they be like, oh, don't believe them. And they do background checks and do research, and most of them kids are telling the truth. They know all about that person and never met them. The family's never met them. It's just like, it's crazy to think about. So I don't know. Maybe it is, they think it's hallucinations, or maybe they can just see stuff that we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe their mind is more open to seeing those things, because our mind is like, that can't make sense. That can't be what I think it is. But their mind don't process it. So who knows who's getting the real, image of what's really going on, or perception of what's going on.
A couple of family friends had a house that was built in the late 1600s.
No.
There is also a weird chair-shaped rock out front. Anyways, we're at this dinner party. I'm around 10 years old and bored out of my mind. We're all in the living room talking, and I see a kid, maybe 6 or 7 years old, in a flowing white nightgown walk down the stairs and into the kitchen.
Red flag.
A couple of other people saw it, too, so we asked the hosts if all their kids were in bed. They said yes, so a couple of people checked the kitchen but didn't find anything. They went to check on the kids, and all the beds were full. The people who lived there were very skeptical until they saw it too a couple of months later, and they were thoroughly freaked out. It happened a couple more times, and they eventually moved out because of a job transfer. I still have paranormal suspicions.
Bro, the ghost just casually walked in the kitchen to get some milk, bro.
I've been sent by my company to do some consulting for their client, an automaker. The field was a bit of a stretch for me, and I was very new to it. There were some politics. A department within the client firm had lost a battle to do the work internally, but they'd scored a compromise. Someone from there would shadow me, following me around to all the interviews I was conducting. He was friendly enough, but I found it pretty uncomfortable. It played right into my imposter syndrome. Midway through the process, one of the interviewees was late to our meeting. As we waited for him, my shadow starts asking me some probing questions that got right to the heart of my inexperience. I was feeling pretty exposed and stammered through some lame answers, getting more and more uncomfortable each minute. Then the interviewee shows up. He's jovial and talkative, and quickly reveals that he's one of the company's fucking experts on what I was supposed to be there doing, having been doing it for 20 years. Cue panic attack. I literally wanted to run out of that room, get into my car, and drive back home. Fortunately, I seem to have legendary poise, shredding the internal lining to ribbons before anyone's the wiser. Since then, I've received compliments on my calmness. At times, I was truly terrified. I managed to wait out the panic, and the meeting went just fine. When I got back to my hotel room, there was a message waiting from my wife. Was I okay? An overwhelming feeling of panic had come over her, which had no basis in what was happening to her. In fact, she'd been sleeping at the time, at her desk. This part is so cute. She was pregnant, and it made her practically narcoleptic. When I got in touch with her a few hours later, as near as we were able to tell, the 2 attacks had happened at the same time.
Damn, the baby did something in her stomach, bro. He tried to motion up some power. He sent some of his baby energy, Kami it through her, and it connected to him. She woke up and was like, hey, baby, are you okay? I tried to check on you. I had a panic attack just like you did. He said, yeah, I got school in the meeting, but the meeting turned out fine. The baby just relaxed up and just curled back up and was like, yeah, I did that. I need my bottle and crib prepared when I come to Earth. That baby's the GOAT.
This didn't happen to me. But when my sister was about 4 or 5 years old, she woke up one morning and told my parents that my dead grandfather was talking to her in her dreams. She then told my parents in detail about their wedding day, and even what they were wearing and the people there. It totally freaked my parents out, because there was no pictures or anything for her to see this. We then asked my grandmother if this was true, and she said yes, everything was how she described it, and she was so freaked out. Oh, and I'm not sure if this adds to the strangeness of the story, but my sister and grandfather were both born on the same day.
Their grandfather is the daughter now, bruh. I hope I reincarnate into something that I can just survive and just be the shit, like a jaguar or like a lion or something. Just reincarnate me into something badass. Don't reincarnate me into like a goldfish or something. I'm gonna be pissed, bruh.
I kind of remember an event that I figure was my imagination, but my mom said it was true too. When we used to live back at my grandma's house on the dad's side of the family, we had most people on my dad's side of the family disliking my mother. Why? I didn't pay attention. It was just how it was. It was a really hot night after my dad had rearranged the bed in the room, and the AC wasn't working. We had trouble sleeping in our respective sides of the beds, and I remember the light bulb had a green tint on it.
No AC?
It was later that I woke up to my mom screaming, then noticing a bunch of caterpillar-looking things were pouring from the ceiling. My dad bolted up too and took us to my uncle's house for the night. Still don't know how that happened. Still don't want to know.
That's crazy.
It probably traumatized me a bit cause I recall in 2nd grade, we were all standing in line at the end of recess on a hot day. It might have been some fluffy stuff from a tree, but I thought I had sweat out a caterpillar. When I wiped off the sweat, I noticed whatever it was started moving on the ground, and once I told my friend, we both began freaking out. The trees were relatively far away with no wind, so the only explanation I can think of is that a bird dropped that was close to the ground. I had some friends that were into wandering graveyards at night. Wannabe ghost hunters or psychics. Taking pictures trying to catch orbs and such. Didn't buy into it much, but that was the crowd I ran with. One night we're wandering the giant cemetery. I've never been in particularly good shape, so I know what it feels like to be short of breath. We get to one particular area, and I feel some strange tension in the air. then I feel as though someone has removed 3/4 of my lung capacity.
Yep, there he goes. He went and stepped on a witch's grave, bro. Now he's about to suffer the consequences. He could have just stayed where he was, bro. Now he's about to suffer the wrath of 10,000 years of a bad curse.
I can barely get half a breath. I'm not quite suffocating, but my breathing became excessively labored, and I'm having to try really hard to breathe. I had bronchitis a few years back, and this was 5 times worse. We weren't running or anything, and I was only about 20 at the time and in better shape than I am now, so it wasn't just a shortness of breath due to walking. I got my fuck out of there, and it returned to normal. My friends told me it was some sort of entity that felt threatened by me and extrapolated that into me having the makings of some sort of spiritual warrior or some such, which I think was just a ruse for them to fit me into an RPG stereotype so I'd buy into what they were doing. But I do feel there was something that did not want me there, and I didn't particularly care why.
Extrapolated sounds dangerous, bro. I don't even know what extrapolated means, but I'm about to Google it after this video. It sounds dangerous. He extrapolated me. Yeah, man, let me know down in the comment section if you guys have any unexplainable stories that you would like to share, or which one that you thought was the creepiest. I think the cat one was the creepiest, because she called this lady, she never met you before. She'll tell you where the cat was and didn't even charge. That kind of makes me scared. Like, why are you not charging me for that? Like, are you just trying to be nice? It wasn't that big of a deal. It was too easy, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, that's just me. But let me know down in the comment section. But if you guys want to win a copy of the Pokemon Legend of Arceus or 6,000 equivalent, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow the channel, and stay tuned. I probably will be doing it maybe February 10th or 15th. If you do not claim your prize, then that's going to be pushed on to someone else, and then so on and so on. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This video is by Dr. Hollow, so if you guys haven't already, shoot down the description box, comment link, go watch the video in entirety, because I was pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. If you guys new to the channel, Reprisalzems, and welcome to the Crow's Nest. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.